We didn't know if it would happen, but boy, oh boy, did it ever. What's up, everybody? It's Zach from Switchforce. I've got Gabe here, resident Metroid fanboy, and they brought the big guns. They brought the big gun twice.
Twice. I'm actually dressed as Zero Suit Samus right now, if you can imagine that.
That would be one of the worst mental images I can possibly put in my head. But Nintendo in the spotlight drops the big boom by saying Metroid Prime 4 is in development for Switch.
And we have opposing thoughts on this. You think it's like coming next year?
I think it's their big fall 2018 game.
No, I don't think it comes next year at all, but I'm happy that they're acknowledging it, and more importantly, I'm happy that this follows the Prime storyline. This is after Corruption, and this isn't a remake or reboot. This isn't going to be a smaller Metroid like everybody expected. That still kind of happened on the 3DS with a remake of Samus Returns. But Metroid Prime 4, Zach, it's very, very real.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's one thing when we get a trailer from, you know, a Sony conference or a Microsoft conference and like, oh, this is in development. But I feel like Nintendo is pretty darn good about when they say something, they make it happen. They're not ones to announce and then vanish, right? Like
unless you're Zelda.
Yeah, but it did come out. It took a while, but it did.
Well, yeah. Well, nobody announces things and then just don't come out.
There's been things that have,
sure. The agent, sure.
I guess I love that Reggie, you know, didn't put it on the spotlight until he was ready. Like he kept saying, you know, until his body was ready, Gabe, he didn't put it there. And you know, they've been talking about like, oh, just wait, and now you got it. And I think it's going to be absolutely epic. We don't know the developer, and that's something we were curious. Like, is it Retro? Is it Nintendo? Who's doing it?
I think it's Retro, even though they've said it's not them. I think they lie.
Well, yeah, it'll be curious to see what it is. I think regardless, it'll be epic. Obviously, we have no gameplay to really discuss, no trailer really, even just a simple Samus logo and a Metroid logo, and boom, we're there.
Well, and, here's where my mind instantly went. Right, it's coming to the Nintendo Switch, so we get gyro on the blaster. Yeah, of course. And you know, playing it on the go is gonna be like really cool. But you know, do they implement motion control at all? Because Corruption, which was on the Wii, that heavily focused motion control. So, or do we go back to a more traditional style with the original Metroid, which was on GameCube? Like, what happens as far as controls go? Do we have the option to do any one of those? And you know, where does the story go after what you know the events of the last one?
Right. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how that has evolved. Like you know, since back on the Wii, what has happened? You know, Metroid Prime 3 came out in 2007, so it's going to be at least 11 years, right?
At least, if not
so.
Yeah.
That's like 2 generations, right, of consoles, of game design. So how do they improve upon, you know, the first-person platforming? How do they improve upon the first-person shooting? How do they improve upon and expand the world? And if we look at what Nintendo has done for Zelda with Breath of the Wild and Mario with Odyssey, it's kind of crazy just to dream up what could they do to sort of bring something new to Metroid. Is it an open world game? Is it, you know, multiplayer? What do they do to really innovate?
And the other interesting thing, it's going to be a little bit of a return to form for Metroid, because you know we had the 3DS game that didn't do super hot. I forgot the name of it already. Other M,
Federation Force, your favorite?
Yeah, Federation Force. And Other M, which was a little bit of a departure, well, a lot of a departure for what Metroid Prime had been for the last 3 games. But you know, now we're going back to what we assume is the core Metroid Prime gameplay staples. It's all gonna like. It's not going to be any like weird Samus anime stuff like Other M, even though I like Other M. You like Other M.
I thought Other M was fun. It's not, you know, Metroid Prime, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, let us know in the comments your thoughts. How excited were you? What was your reaction? We definitely want to know how you're feeling about Metroid Prime 4 being official. And I feel like, you know, this E3 was a lot. I've described it as like a catch-up E3. And I feel like of all the announcements, that one had the most, like, that was the biggest mic drop of all of E3 2017. That Metroid Prime 4 announcement.
That and Anthem, probably.
I guess the difference is Anthem is an unknown quantity, so there's not like the nostalgia or the love or the fandom there.
It's gonna be weird, right? If Retro's not doing this, because then you kind of have like a Halo situation where Bungie was making it, then they hand off the reins to 343. So what if Retro's not doing this anymore? They got to hand the reins off to someone.
I think you can feel more confident with Nintendo's developers.
Yeah.
You know, and again, there's 11 years between them, at least 11 or 12 years.
And is this the start of a new trilogy? Like, where do they go with that? Like,
it is interesting that they call it Metroid Prime 4 rather than reestablishing something, you know, brand new.
That's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like Metroid : something.
I bet they, even if there is a title change or a subtitle later, I think they did this so we know for sure it's a shooter. So, like, there's no doubt in our minds that this is like a big full Metroid. They're not goofing around anymore. And then somehow they didn't even include this in the spotlight, but then in the treehouse, about 30-40 minutes into the treehouse, they announced Metroid for 3DS, and it's a 2D Metroid, and it's called Metroid Samus Returns, and it is a remake of Metroid Return of Samus, Metroid 2 from Game Boy.
Yeah, see, I never played that, so I'm gonna be excited. I mean, I'm looking at footage right now while we are watching the treehouse. It looks like a 2D Metroid game, and I love those. Super Metroid is my favorite Metroid of all time. I still play that every once in a while on Wii U Virtual Console. So this looks really good. You know, it's not a game I've played, so I can't speak on it a whole lot, but I'm excited to play it, and it is coming out. They have a date on that.
September 15th.
Yeah.
Which is soon.
Yeah.
Again, that's something that, like, Nintendo's format is so weird that this doesn't even make it into the spotlight, right? And I know they said they weren't going to do any 3DS stuff, but crazy. And I think what's good about this is that most people haven't played it, right? If they were doing, like, just a Super Metroid remake, that would be loved, right? That would be a big deal. But in theory, you'll eventually be able to get that on a Virtual Console, which strangely was omitted from today's Direct. Now, if you want to go get a taste of this game right now, it's obviously on Game Boy, but it's also on 3DS. Metroid 2 is on 3DS Virtual Console. Okay. So if you wanted to play the original, you could do that in preparation for this, and maybe we'll have you check that out, actually.
Okay.
But this looks really good. It's kind of like a hybrid 2D, 3D style. Are you okay with that? Did you want it to be true 2D?
No, I don't mind, because the just the core gameplay, it's still 2D. Like, you're not doing anything weird in a 3D space. You do get into like some like 3D like cinematic type stuff when like attacking enemies and such, but that stuff doesn't bother me. It's just modernizing it a little bit. So yeah, I'm not bothered by that at all.
Yeah, and the new 2DS is coming out in July, along with like Hey Pikmin, and then you'll have this in September. So soon after, if you're someone that doesn't have a 3DS, you could pick up a new 2DS XL, and then you'll have Metroid right after. But if we look at the lineup, like, it's crazy that you're gonna get ARMS for Switch, Splatoon for Switch, Rabbids for Switch, and then Metroid for 3DS, Pokken for Switch. Like, it really coming in hot. Not to mention like Hey Pikmin, Ever Oasis, some of the other 3DS titles. I think that all in all, they delivered humongously for fans. Bringing two Metroids.
I was not disappointed in the slightest.
Yeah, I and we talked about, would they bring one, would they bring two, and I think we kind of like we kept saying, we tried to keep like willing it into existence by saying like, oh, they're gonna have both, and we kind of ended up on a 2D, and so we did get the 2D, but we also got the 3D announcement, and I feel like Nintendo is much more in tune with the Switch, with their fan base. It seemed like the Wii U obviously had great games. There were some phenomenal titles there that will go down as, some of Nintendo's best. But I felt like they were maybe a little out of tune, and they didn't go, the super power route like some fans wanted. But the Switch is a very successful and very awesome machine, and it seems like game-wise, they now are doing what we want. I mean, outside of Animal Crossing, we got Kirby, we got Yoshi, we got Mario, and we got Samus in this one. They can save DK and, Isabelle for later. Yeah. But now, just as a big Metroid fan, a longtime player, what is after this conference and these reveals, where is your mind at?
My mind is honestly just on when is this coming. Because I really, I hate to say it, but I really don't think we get it next year. Because I think if we were going to get it next year, they would have put a 2018 date on it, like they did with every other game in the spotlight.
So you think it's a fall 2019 title?
Or maybe early 2019. I mean, maybe, because Nintendo doesn't do that a whole lot, do they? Where, other than Zelda, where they, release early in the year?
Yeah, I mean, we have to assume Zelda was only because of the Switch launch, because Nintendo still remains traditional in terms of releasing their big exclusives
in the fall,
right by Black Friday and the big shopping season.
Yeah, but now February and March, they're big months for video games, and Nintendo has kind of steered clear, so maybe that's when it comes out in 2019. I don't think it's 2018, and that's where my mind instantly goes. And who's making it? That's the other thing. Who's making it? And sure, we have confidence in Nintendo, but I really hope it's retro. I hope that they can continue with the whole Prime thing. They couldn't say we're working on Metroid before. So I think they were blatantly just lying to keep it a secret for this big reveal. This was a big reveal that not a lot of people expected.
And I like that. Reggie didn't come out and just say oh, and we'll have a Metroid game for Switch, like the Pokemon guy said we'll have a core Pokemon. They actually gave a logo. So to me, that says it's farther along. I still believe.
Logo does not mean they're further along.
I still believe.
They made that in a day.
I still believe that this is a fall 2018 title. I feel like Kirby and Yoshi are going to be early 2018, and I feel like Metroid Prime 4 will be their E3 2018 big thing. They built out Breath of the Wild for E3 2016. They built out New Donk City for E3 2017. I feel like they build out either Samus' ship or a planet for Metroid 18 or for E3 2018.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff.
It is absolutely super exciting, and I love that even if we don't have a date, we do have these to talk about. We do have these to look forward to, and we know that, you know, it's important for Switch owners to know, like, they have a big shooter, a big Nintendo staple coming to their system, and that's awesome. So
guys, make this one sell. Make this one sell.
Right, that's the huge thing. If you ever want another one,
yeah,
they've done it for you on both ends. So the 3DS title and the Switch title, go grab those if you're pumped. Let us know what you think of the Metroid announcements in the comments below. If you had any crazy reactions, let us know, and which one you're looking more forward to, the 3DS one coming in September 15th, or the Switch one with no date. Who knows when that will release, but we will be ready for it. Make sure to hit that like button if you were excited by the Metroid announcements today. Smash that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from Nintendo and E3. We'll be covering it, and more discussions like this from us here at Switch Force. And until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic E3. For myself and Gabe, Switch Force out.